Hello friends, welcome to e-learning session of intestinal nematodes. Today we will be taking E. vermicularis. The objectives of today's sessions are: first we will see general features of this worm, Enterobius vermicularis. Then we will discuss its morphology, then its life cycle, the pathogenicity and clinical features, lab diagnosis, and finally, in short, prevention and control of this worm. So, if we see the general features of this worm is also commonly named as threadworm, pinworm, or seatworm. The name threadworm is derived due to its typical appearance. It looks like a tiny thread-like tiny piece of thread. That's why it is not named as a threadworm. It is a very small helminth and common throughout the world, especially in children. Things to be noted that other intestinal nematodes which you have studied till now, you will have witnessed that it is more common in tropics than temperate zone. But this is a bit different worm which is more common in temperate zone compared to tropics. So it is uh, present throughout the world. The habitat is it stays in the large intestine, so it remains attached with the mucosa of the cecum and the appendix. If we see the morphology, the adult worm is small but can be seen with naked eyes. The male, just like the other nematodes, intestinal nematodes, male would be smaller. The length is around 0.5 centimeter, while female is around 1 centimeter. So this is its morphology. You can see this in this. This is its mouth. It has this bulbar esophagus, and this is its morphology. If we see the morphology of eggs of this worm, they are non-bile stem. So they would not take the bile from the intestine, so and look colorless. The shape is very characteristic. It is elongated and oval. So this is the shape. And if you see that it is colorless, uh, if you have seen the eggs of Ascaris lumbricoid or Trichuris trichura, which is yellowish brown in color, which is known as bile stain egg, while this is non-bile stain because it is colorless. The other thing is its typical shape. If you can see here, one side is relatively flat and other side is convex. So this is known as plano-convex morphology of this form. So that point needs to be, it is an identifying feature of this worm, so you have to remember that. The size is 50 to 60 micrometer in length and around 20 micrometer in depth. Now, life cycle. If we see life cycle, again it is a very simple life cycle because human is the only host of this worm, and the transmission, like many other intestinal nematodes, it is fecal-oral. So infective form is the embryonated egg which is ingested by the human being. Once it is swallowed, this egg is swallowed, in the small intestine, larva would come out from the egg, and finally, when it reaches to the large intestine cecum, it would convert itself into adult worms. Male, this smaller is male and the larger is female. There would be fertilization. After fertilization, male would die and female worm would come out all the way through the rectum, and it would lay egg in the perianal region. So it is a typical characteristic of this worm that gravid female would come out mostly during night time and lay egg in the perianal region, and that egg would be deposited around the skin. Now, due to movement of this adult gravid female, there would be itching, and patient during sleeping tend to itch this perianal region. During that time, this egg would come in the nail bed and the hand of the person, and through that contaminate, with the help of that contaminated hand, that egg again reaches to human being. This is known as auto-infection. This is possible in this worm because the time required for maturation is very low. If you compare it with other worm, for example in Ascaris lumbricoid, the time required for maturation is 10 to 14 days. So auto-infection is not possible at all. While here it is only 4 to 6 hours. So it gets mature and become reinfective, and it can transmit the infection. That's why the auto-infection is possible in this one. One other way of auto-infection is retro-infection. This deposited egg which is there in the perianal skin would get mature here only, and from this egg this larva would again enter by retrograde route into the intestine and again mature itself into female. So that is known as retro-infection. So that is also possible in this worm. So that is the life cycle of this worm. What you have to remember is the route of transmission is the fecal, human being is the only host, and auto-infection is possible through the contaminated hand of the patient itself. If we see the clinical disease produced by this, usually the disease are not very serious like Ascaris lumbricoid, but most of the time it causes intense irritation, and it is known as pruritus ani. So when patient is sleeping, due to movement of the gravid female worm, there would be intense itching, and that causes the problem. Sometime in female patient there may be rarely mucoid discharge in vagina, and symptoms like chronic salpingitis may occur. This we have to remember two things, that is auto-infection and retro-infection are common in this one. Auto-infection through the nail, during itching it would come in the nail bed, while patient tend to eat anything, it would come in the mouth. Many times with patient's contaminated hand, it touches the door handle or the other knobs. Through that it would also can be infected to other person also. Now we are coming to lab diagnosis. So in most of the intestinal parasites, stool examination is the best way to diagnose. But here the best method is not stool examination, but best method is collect the deposited egg from the perianal region in the early morning. Uh, the way of doing this is very easy, that is NIH swab. It is nothing, the NIH stands for National Institute of Health. This is very simple soap. There is a soap stick. Instead of cotton bud, there is a cellophane tape attached to that soap stick, and that cello tape is attached in a way that sticky side of that cello tape is on the outer side. So carefully that swab is rolled on the perianal skin of the patient. So all the eggs which is deposited on the perianal region would stick to this cellotape, and then you have to put that cellotape under microscope and you can diagnose the this infection. We'll see that picture so you will understand it better. Stool examination may be done sometime. It also contains adult worm as well as. So this is the sellotape, and when you stick it on the glass slide and observe under microscope, you will see plenty of such eggs which are deposited on the perianal skin can be seen under microscope, and it is diagnostic. So that is the lab diagnosis of this. And finally, prevention and control. So like other intestinal nematodes, the mebendazole or albendazole uh, are the drug of choice that can be given. The hygienic habits plays a great role because hand washing before meal is very important. The clothes of the infected person are also contain the egg, so proper washing of that clothes would be very useful. So basically hygiene would prevent the infection. And health education, because through contaminated hand it may enter in other person via doorknobs or the tap and other surfaces. So these are the things which should be taken care of. Finally, in the summary, the worm is not that much pathogenic like roundworm and the other Ankylostoma duodenale hookworm, but it is prevalent worldwide in the children. And two things, life cycle is important, and you have to remember two unique thing which is unique to this. One is the auto infection, which is not seen in other worms because egg takes time to get mature and infective, while here within 4 to 6 hours it will become reinfective. So auto infection is possible, and sometimes even retro infection is possible. So that's all about this Enterobius vermicularis. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any query, you can post the comment or you can mail in the Google Classroom. Thanks again.